Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show today. I appreciate you joining. Today, I actually want to have a conversation around the fact that growing your career and professional growth actually is the single-handed biggest major contributor to your fulfillment in life because it will affect your relationships, your wealth, and your health. All three of them. Okay, so with that, let's dive in. So there's the classic trio of what makes up fulfillment in life: health, wealth, and relationships. Health simply being your actual health span. So how long are you healthy for? Are you able to do the activities you want, live the life that you want well into your 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, etc. Wealth is obviously, do you have not necessarily what you want, but do you have enough to not worry? Are you constantly thinking about the next paycheck or where the food's going to be on your table? Or do you have that type of stress in your life? Or do you have enough that that's not the concern and that you're at the stage where everything else beyond you is luxury? And relationships, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your friends, whether it's your pets and dogs, etc. So I'll tell you how I came about producing this video and why I wanted to make it. Is I'm someone who is always seeking new information. And so I was listening to a couple different podcasts this week on relationships. And all of the relationship advice was actually career advice and how I approach my clients in a lot of different ways. And so I took a step back and I was like, okay, let me sort of do a if this, then this, right? So if you improve your relationships, does that mean you're improving your health and wealth? Well, relationships, you're not necessarily improving your wealth. You are definitely contributing to your health. So it's like 1.5, right? And the way it's contributing to your health is by the fact that you are having a better quality of life. People are proven to live longer by having fulfilled relationships, etc. So there's definitely a component here. So by investing your time and effort and energy into relationships, you are accomplishing 1.5 out of these three. Okay. If I do health, if I go all my chips in on health, am I getting more wealth? And am I getting more out of my relationships? Not really. All chips on health is kind of isolated to health in a particular way. Okay. All chips on wealth. Am I getting better relationships? Yes. Am I getting better health? Yes. Now, the reason you're affecting your relationships is because the skills and experience it takes to accumulate wealth is also the exact same skills and experience it takes to build meaningful relationships. And from the health perspective, if you have the wealth, then your diet and nutrition and these sorts of things are also probably going to follow as being a key part in lockstep. And this may or may not be true depending on, who you are. But I know for me, I am actually best performing at my professional self and in my relationships when I also am doing healthy habits. So I'm going to give wealth sort of a 2.5 out of 3 because wealth is not necessarily impacting other aspects of your health, like taking care of your body or, just because you have the money for a good diet doesn't mean you're eating a good diet, these sorts of things. But in order to also get wealthy, you have to build relationships along the way. So, and you are encountering more people and increasing your network and having more opportunities for relationships. So I think that wealth and relationships actually go hand in hand in that direction, and it covers health. So now let's dive right into some of my evidence, because I know on the surface, what I've said thus far is health, you're getting 1/3. Relationships, you're getting 50% of these three. Wealth, we're getting about 70 to 75% of these three. So now let's dive a little bit deeper into why and how I came to this conclusion. So how do you generate wealth? So this is either going to happen through professional career growth from an employee perspective or an entrepreneur, either one. And I believe I might butcher this quote slightly, but we're going to go, I believe it's James Clear from Atomic Habits, is entrepreneurship is personal growth masquerading as a profit enterprise or something like that. Like I said, could be butchering that quote. But let's take a look at really what it takes to be successful in either one of those, career or entrepreneurship. So both of them are rooted in relationships based off of trust, communication, and mutual respect. So again, whether you are an entrepreneur or an employee, you have to be trustworthy. And the other side of the table, so whether it's your customer or your employer, also has to be trustworthy. Otherwise, it's not a successful two-way relationship. All of your relationships, your spouse, your friends, etc., must be rooted in trust. So you must uplift yourself to being trustworthy and being able to gauge and judge other parties' trustworthiness as well. Communication. Whether or not you're being effective communication, whether or not you have writing, verbal, etc. Communication is absolutely key to both of these aspects, right? So on the wealth side, if you cannot communicate what you are capable of, if you cannot communicate the mission of the company, if you cannot communicate as an entrepreneur, you're not going to sell anything, you're not going to find any customers, you're not going to find any partners, you're not going to get any employees. Communication in all of your relationships is the key for all of those things, right? Find me a relationship that is successful without quality communication. So I'm not even going to dive in and spend time there. And then mutual respect, right? So as an employee or an entrepreneur, you must be respectable. Your clients must respect that you are going to fulfill what it is that you're going to do. Your employer must respect that you are going to fulfill what they are paying you for. You must respect the employer for you to continue to be motivated, for you to want to give it your all. You must also be respectful you must expect your client to be respectful from the entrepreneurship side, or you're just not going to want to work with them either, or you're going to cut loose, right? So you have mutual respect. Just like communication, find me a successful relationship of any kind, friendship, family, spouse, that isn't rooted in mutual respect. Okay. So now let's go into accountability. So when you are growing your career, if for you to go from entry level to maybe mid-level to senior individual contributor to manager, all of these things, how are you doing that? You're doing this really at its core through accountability. All along the way, you are seeing problems, making mistakes, whatever it might be, and going, what can I do? How am I contributing to this failure? How can I enable myself to grow? What skills do I need to make it to the next level? Entrepreneurship, same thing. You cannot be a successful entrepreneur without accountability. You will never sell anything, make a dime, or fulfill anything to a customer. You must be accountable. Think about your relationships. When it comes to your friends, your family, your spouse, again, accountability is the source of your growth and meaningfulness in all of the relationships, right? It's when we open our hearts, which is accountability, because you are saying, what am I doing, right? You and your spouse get into a fight. Okay, how did I cause this? How did I fuel the fire? How did I gaslight them? What was my body language like, right? By taking accountability, by starting with accountability as the root of every situation, not just the negative, but also the positive. So when you win, when you get a raise, ask yourself, what did I do? When you get praise from your spouse, what did I do? When your friend calls you out of the blue and it's just like, man, I'm so glad that you're in my life, because if you weren't, then A, B, and C wouldn't have happened. We remember when we used to do this, and you reminisce a little bit. Like, these types of interactions are all rooted in accountability, the positive and the negative. And so it is impossible to be successful in your relationships and impossible to be successful in your career without accountability. Okay. Self-esteem. So this is one of the major contributors to both of these things as well. So let's just look at it from the career perspective. If you have low self-esteem, you're not going to think you're capable. You're not going to think you could progress. You're not going to think you're worthy of the promotion. You're not going to think you're worthy of the employment. You're not going to come off as confident in the interview. You're not going to sell your client, etc. Think about it from a relationship perspective. Do you want to be friends with somebody who just constantly thinks that they're crap? Do you want to be married to somebody? Do you want to date somebody that just continually thinks of themselves as less than the scum of the earth, right? Without self-esteem, you cannot build meaningful relationships, nor can you progress your career. Building the self-esteem. How do you build self-esteem? Let's go back to my previous video of the dictionary. Really, self-esteem is rooted in confidence. You build confidence through competence by upskilling yourself, by learning a new skill and implementing it and using it over and over and over and over again, and having the results and the evidence. It's the same thing in relationships. How many times do you encounter the exact same situation, an exact same conversation with your spouse or your friend, and you have to deliver over and over and over again? And that is how you build your self-esteem. But with low self-esteem, you will succeed at neither. With high self-esteem, doesn't mean you'll succeed at either, but it's a prerequisite for succeeding at both, or for succeeding at both. Okay, so now let's take another look at this. Time and effort. Does wealth or meaningful relationships, do they happen in the snap of a finger? Do they happen by you ignoring them? Right? Most people fail to recognize the amount of time it takes to get you to where you want to go. I love the Matthew McConaughey framing of, I might mix up the ages, but, you know, it's who's your hero? And for him, it was always the future self. So if he was asked, who's your hero when he was 25 years old, he'd say, well, my 30-year-old self. And then when he was 30, who's your hero? My 40-year-old self, my 50-year-old, right? It would just continue to grow and grow and grow. That was his hero, because he knew that while he couldn't sit there and go, this is where I want to be when I'm 50 and how I'm going to get there, he could see a little bit into the future. He could see 6 months. Okay, I got that. Now I can see a year, and then I can see 5 years, and then I can see 10 years. And you can continue to grow that time horizon and increase the goals and ramp it up over and over again. When you look at your relationships, it's the same way. Even if you say, you know, it was love at first sight, we got married at 6 months, is the relationship at 6 months, whether married, not married, dating, etc., is that more or less meaningful than when it's 6 years? What about when it's 60 years? It has to be less. If your relationship at 60 years has the same level of meaningfulness as it did when it was 6 months, that's a failed relationship. Straight up. And then let's talk about the other side I mentioned here, effort. I mean, is this not probably the root cause of virtually most spousal arguments? Is the effort being put in by both sides? And it's not about keeping score of, well, I'm doing 51 and you're doing 49 and I'm doing 90 and you're doing... It's just, are you putting in effort to bring your best self every day to that relationship? Are you bringing your best self every day to your job? Again, same required skill set and framing. Both relationships and wealth take time and effort. I've also kind of dropped health in this aspect from some of the other ones, but time and effort is literally health. The definition of health span is how long you are able and capable of living your healthy life, your best life. You don't do that with a lack of effort. It's easy to be fat. It's easy to get diabetes. It's easy to be a drunk. It's easy to be an addict, right? None of these things are difficult. They're all easy. It takes effort to be healthy. So all three take time and take effort, because guess what? On the health side, it's a never-ending game. It is literally the game until you die. Wealth, you can stop. You can say, well, you know, I got $5 million. I'm out. I'm done. I'm good. Relationships, you could also say you're done. You're like, hey, I'm at where I'm at. I like where we're at. I'm done improving. But health, you can't stop. If you stop, you die. So all three of these, health and wealth, time and effort. Okay. So another one, I'm going to lump two things in here. Speaking the truth and a quote that I really like that kind of goes hand in hand with this from Neil Strauss. Unspoken expectations are premeditated resentments. So let's think about this from a career perspective. You don't speak the truth. People don't trust you. You're not transparent. You don't communicate your needs, your requirements, your desires. You then, going back to the unspoken expectations or premeditated resentments, you will then resent your employer, resent your career path, because you haven't put out there what it is you want, how you're going to get there, and what you're shooting for. That is a prerequisite to success in your career. Again, whether this is entrepreneurship or as an employee, speak the truth. Most people are fearful of speaking the truth simply because of the consequences of loss. So let's relate this real quick to relationships. Do people like to be around liars? Do your friends want to be around you when you lie? Does your spouse? Does your boyfriend? Does your girlfriend? Does your brother? Does your mom? Does your dad? Does anybody want to be around you when you lie? Now, here's the thing. The reason most people are fearful of speaking the truth is usually for two reasons. There's a consequence of losing whatever it is you're speaking the truth to, or whomever you're speaking the truth to. And at the same time, the other reason is usually back to self-esteem. So it's because they maybe don't feel like they deserve the results of the truth or the demands that they're requesting or the vision that they're creating. Both of those consequences actually relate to both of those things of wealth and relationships, right? I'm pretty sure we all, depending on your age, you have encountered a situation where you told someone what you truly thought of them and they left. They cut you out. Same thing on the employment side. You could be fired because you're talking about the issues and the problems that need to be solved and you're speaking the truth. On the self-esteem side, target the company first. You can't communicate what you want and advocate for yourself. You're not going to get that promotion. You're not going to get that salary. You're not going to get the vacation that you want. On the relationship, you're not going to get the friend that you want if you can't ask of them what you need out of the relationship. You're not going to get the spouse out of them for what you need. So if we really think about everything I've listed here, it's the prerequisites and requirements for success in all of these realms of health, wealth, and relationships. So if we can really understand that the formula I just created there, so having things rooted in trust, communication, and mutual respect, accountability, self-esteem, understanding things take time and effort, being adaptable, speaking the truth, all of these things contributing to wealth and relationships and to some degree health. But if I put all of those skill investments into relationships, I'm not increasing my wealth and I'm somewhat increasing my health. If I put them all into wealth, I am also getting the benefit of relationships because I'm developing the skills all along the way. And I'm getting some health benefits as well because I have the money to take care of myself and I'm getting relationships subsequently as well. So I'm also getting that benefit too. So the irony is people, the core reason I wanted to make this video was it wasn't just the aha moment I had from listening to relationship advice earlier in the week, but it's because I sometimes have struggled with the younger audience feeling like to them, they feel like work is just slavery, effectively. Like they feel like it's an obligatory form of slavery. And I wanted to put out there that it's not. It is actually your professional growth and self is truly your vehicle, the single most important vehicle to your life fulfillment. This, and I'm not saying this as your job is why you live. You are only born to work. Like, that's not what this is. It's asking yourself, what does it take to be healthy? What does it take to be wealthy? What does it take to have successful relationships? When you look at that, there's a lot of overlap. But when you put all of the skills it requires to build wealth, when you put all of your efforts into that one of these three, you subsequently fully conquer relationships and partially conquer health. So by driving on one road, you are conquering all three lanes. So I want to talk on a couple other points here, because hopefully this isn't making sense. A couple little bonus pieces, if you will. Boredom is also commonly the impetus for change in these situations, right? So if you are bored at work, you're like, oh my God, I've just been doing the same thing for 6 months. I'm so stagnant. This is terrible. This is miserable. What is the point? Now do that in your relationships, right? If you're bored with your friends, you're going to question, what's the point in the friendship? Why am I hanging out with them? If you're bored with your spouse, what do we got to do to spice it up? What do we got to do that makes us want to interact again, right? Boredom is often the sign that, oh man, I need to change something. And when you do change, it gets better. This is a very hidden piece of the formula of success. I would make the argument, if you reach boredom in wealth or relationships, you let it go too long. So try to recognize what got you there so you could prevent boredom in the future. But if boredom is the response in either one, you're going to make it better in the long run. All right. Adaptability. Buzzword, I know. But especially right now where we're in a technological revolution with AI and automation and these sorts of things, and jobs are being eliminated and crushed and created, and new industries created and old industries crushed again. Being adaptable and changing yourself across time is absolutely key. Again, this is core for wealth and relationships and health, right? Because how many people have different health issues when they're 60 than when they were 30 than when they were 10? So if you have the skill of actually being able to identify change, adapt to it, and solve it, it will benefit you in all three realms. And this skill can very aptly and adeptly be developed through the vehicle of wealth. All right. So let's talk about some of the risk side. So this is all about the formula of success. Again, quick recap of by driving the vehicle of wealth to develop trust, communication, mutual respect, accountability, self-esteem, understanding it takes time and effort for success, being adaptable, changing upon boredom, solving your self-love, and speaking the truth as keys to success, putting all that vehicle or all that development into wealth, you solve all of those for relationships, you solve some of them for health. Let's talk about kind of the risky side, the negative side, right? So some things to acknowledge. You can, when it comes to comparing wealth and relationships, you can opt out of both of them at any given time. The other side can opt out of you at any given time. Your brain likes to conjure up stories. Your brain will conjure stories about your perception of your current career path, your current company, your current manager, your current executive suite, whatever it is. Same thing on the relationship side, right? Things maybe get a little bit negative and there's just this palpable tension. And so you conjure this story about us making a bunch of assumptions and thinking that things are happening. By learning to prevent this, that is a skill, by recognizing that your brain is just a narrative machine. It is just a thought machine, and learning to calm this down, learning to focus it and channel it, which is a prerequisite of success within your career, will benefit you elsewhere. Something else that's kind of interesting, whenever you get a new job, there's usually a honeymoon phase, right? Just like when you have a new partner or a new friend or a new whatever. And then after the honeymoon phase, there's just this screeching deceleration of putting on the brakes, right? How do you overcome that? You approach with a sense of curiosity and just continually putting your best foot forward every single day. This is the case for your friendships. This is the case for family. And this is the case for your career. Again, this immense overlap. The risks, negatives, and the ways to overcome it are the same formula and the same skills of how to overcome these negatives in both wealth and relationships. So I don't know how much more clear that I can make this, but I just thought that this was a big motivational factor, that if you agree that there are three vehicles of fulfillment, health, wealth, relationships, to reiterate, if you drive only the vehicle of health, you do not gain wealth, and you do not gain relationships. If you drive only the vehicle of relationships, you will not get any wealth, and you will get some health. But if you only drive the vehicle of wealth, you innately gain relationships and you innately gain some of health. It is the most valuable vehicle you can drive out of the three. And I hope that this provides a little bit of motivation. It provides a little bit of insight into why it is so crucial. And it's key to your personal fulfillment and everything you want in life to actually put all your chips on black. I'd love to know your feedback. I'd love to hear what your thought is. Leave a comment down below. If you have disagreements, agreements, affirmations, whatever, leave them in the comments below. If you have any feedback about this content in general, if you like this type of video, leave a comment below. If you like this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell. And until next time, appreciate you joining me today.